What is going on, everyone, and welcome to Kart 6T3. My name is Ben. Thank you very much for stopping by. The drill. Real quick, if you didn't mind hitting a like on this video, possibly subscribe to the channel, that would be super awesome and fantastic and stuff like that. I know that the intro gets a little repetitive, very easy for me to memorize, very easy for me to say every single time. So it's kind of my thing, and everybody knows it's coming. So real easy to do. Okay, Kart 6T3 is brought to you by Track Tack Tire Treatments. Track Tack Tire Treatments. Track Tack Tire Treatments. Track Tack Tire Treatments. The hat too, but it's backwards. Is that better? Okay. If you are looking to get into prep, if you are curious about prepping tires or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me. I will do my best to get you pointed in the right direction. Okay, so I would dare say the most asked question, at least this year, maybe of last year, I'm not quite sure, but definitely this year, is what do I think about the Reaper tires? There is a lot of information. I wrote down a list. I'm going to try and cover some of it because I want to say the jury is still out, only in my case, because I haven't figured out what makes them work, but I think there's a lot of information I might be able to give you that you might experience or you might look for if you go ahead and run the Reaper tire. So give me a second here. I'm going to go through the list and try and I'll do my best to do point by point, but you know, I just go off on tangents and everything else. Anyway, let's talk about the Reaper tire. Okay, first things first. I have so many conflicting bits of information from not only my own experience, but from what other people tell me. Some people have said prep them very aggressively. Very, very aggressively. And if you do, you will drop the durometer and keep it there. Is that what I have experienced? Nope. That is not what I have experienced. I got what I consider pretty aggressive with a set. The set, I think it's set right back here. And they got down into the 50s, or no, the high 40s, I'm sorry. And then they sat for a couple weeks because that race didn't happen. They shot right back up to like 52 or something. Now, I will say that Terry Odom, when, you know, I messaged him back and forth. Obviously, I've done a video or two on this. I did a little promotion for the Horsepower Nationals for him, that he says not to overly concern yourself with duro. And I'm like, that makes sense because they are a bugger to get down. Now, that being said, I have talked to more than one person. This is, you know, and it's it's not a correlation by causation or whatever that fancy frickin' term is, but it's true. If I've heard it from one guy, okay, you know, that's a bit of information. When I hear it from multiple people, I go, maybe there's something to that. Now, they were with the, you know, this is up north. This heavier prepping, I won't say really pertains to people down south. Now, not saying everywhere down south. I know you guys do have heavier tracks. You have heavy wet tracks. And so this information may pertain to you. But it wasn't straight go. It was by somebody. And they had their own version of goat. They had an extra chemical in there to help help goat not destroy a tire. Anyway, they went extremely heavy. I'm talking like 6 ounces internal on right side tires. And then prep the ever-living dog snot out of the outside. Now, this correlates a little bit with what my experience was. That initially, you know, Terry said, hey, don't prep them heavy inside, but I did have extra sets to play with. So I went ahead and super heavy, what I thought was super heavy prep at 4 ounces. And I hit the outside pretty heavy. Now, what I found was the tire was a bit sluggish. But what I also found was the longer you run the tire, the more heat built in the tire, the harder it grabbed. I ran that set again. The first time I ran them, they weren't very fast. I wasn't on pace with the leaders. you have to keep in mind this is my first year running clones, so that I don't want to get too off track there. My first experience with a Reaper, running that tire, and I heavy prepped it and everything. Also, one of the very first times I was behind the wheel of a clone, so some of it may have been myself, some of it may have been the chassis setup, but tires, there was normally a Vega type tire track, and my experience was that the longer it ran, the better it got. The more heat that built in the tire, the more it gripped the track. The second time I ran that exact same set of tires, the same thing happened, except for I treated the outside heavier that day of. So from my experience, it kind of goes along with, I didn't get as excessively prep happy as the people that I spoke to about hitting them that heavy. They also said they got the durometer to stay down, which I still haven't been able to do. But chemicals don't always have to drop the durometer to do their job. If there's a lot of chemical in a tire, it is naturally, as soon as it gets warm, it is going to activate and it's going to grip the tire as you run. As the tire gets warmer, the durometer is naturally going to drop. I mean, if you were to duro a hot tire, it's going to be a lot softer than when it is cold. So there is that. One of the other things that people have been telling me, and I've heard this from multiple people, is that this, I would say it's more down south, but one of the people that I heard it from was up here, that the the Reaper tire, I'm sorry, Reaper, likes to be thin. Now, I don't have any experience with this. I actually, I did a quick video of me. I need to practice my cutting anyway, so I have multiple sets of Reapers. I thought I'd go ahead and try and cut it. I tried to surface it. I had multiple people, oh, that tire's burned up, that's destroyed. And it's just like, maybe. And then I had somebody, offer some advice. Hey, just cut dot to dot if you're going to cut them like that. Which I've heard about people cutting the dip out. I would assume that's the edges. Because you wouldn't want to cut the dip, but I digress. We're not talking about cutting tires. Anyway, so I wanted to see what a thinner tire acted like. So I went ahead and I cut and I surfaced, some outsides to see what they would do. I just haven't gotten a chance to run them. But this person was pretty adamant that a thinner tire, they like to be run thinner. Now, this is from somebody up north. Also, I was considering going down to the Horsepower Nationals, which is down south. It was at South Carolina, and they said run them thin. Like, if you got to buy your tires there, like, and just grind them off, get them nice and thin for the day's event, because they like to be thinner. This, in my mind at least, would cause the tire to heat up quicker, which would go back on what we were saying before with the heavy prepping being up north, bringing a lot of heat in the tire. If you cut the tread thinner, it's going to heat up a lot faster. It's also going to dissipate heat a lot quicker. But I think the tread, it doesn't have so much to build up that maybe it heats up quicker and it gets into the track quicker. Now, whether or not, as it dissipates that heat, being a thinner tire, whether or not you lose traction at the end of the run, I don't know. I don't have experience with that. But like I said, it was the start of the video, that people had gotten at me and asked me, my opinion on the Reaper. And all I can do is my little bit of experience with them. I've run 3 sets now. I did run straight up at the 750 to win. I did not like that. It was 0 wipes of anything. I just wanted to know what nothing internal, nothing external tire would do. My Kart did not enjoy that. I would say, at least some prepping is necessary, at least for up north, what you're doing up here. But then again, maybe not. Maybe that's not what makes them happy. I don't want to lead anybody in the wrong path up north, at least, with the Reaper tire, because I have not really found what makes them work. All I can do is relay to you, what people have told me and my opinions on that, what I've experienced. And hey, does that makes sense? That prepping heavy would bring heat into the tire type of thing. So the other thing, C High Performance, Chris C, after the Horsepower Nationals, obviously Evan went and was it 10,000 to win? I think it's 10,000 wins. It's a lot of cheddar. Anyway, I did not make it down to that race. But Chris did a whole video. I'll try and think of it when I'm doing this. Chris's Facebook page, C High Performance. He did a whole video on it, and he was comparing it to a Maxxis and what he thought about the structure of the tire, their experience with it on track. He actually, I believe he compared it a little bit to the old Dunlop. Now, I have zero experience. I've never run a Dunlop in my life, but I had heard of them. Obviously, I know, there are some tire companies that were before my day in racing. Maybe they were still making them, but just not something, or were there tires available? Maybe there was tires available. I just, I don't know. Didn't the factory burn down or something? Anyway, he was making the comparison that the tire has a bunch of natural bite in it, that you can just feel the tire, and I don't disagree. This tire doesn't have any, but it doesn't feel plasticky to me. It actually, this is one of the straight up tires. No prep inside, nothing, just a little surface action. But they don't feel plasticky to me. The ELs, Once Upon a Drift, had some Unilis, and they felt very plasticky. And I'm kind of going, the ELs, the Maxxis ELs, I'm going with it. A lot of people had said they're just plastic, like hard plastic pucks. And that's what I felt like when I had the one set of Unilis, maybe I bought two sets of Unilis here. I was not a fan of them, and they, somebody came along, bought a chassis, and I just gave them, like, have some tires type of thing. But Chris did he made a very good argument for the cost effectiveness of the tire, and the amount of grip, and that, he thought it was a decent tire. I do as well. People constantly ask me, do you think it's a good tire? I do. Is it for everybody? No. But I think it's, it's becoming popular enough. Enough tracks are either offering a class, or obviously, Reaper's putting forth money to put on these Reaper Nationals and, Gulf Coast. And there's all sorts of races that have been going on all summer. And Reaper's done a real good job giving back to the racer. With these money races. Yes, it costs a lot to enter money races. Yes, you got to buy tires at track, all that thing. It's nothing people who haven't run big races before, haven't experienced before, but now the tires are $145 a set instead of $200, $210, whatever the cost of the other tires have been to this point. So I think that's a real good thing. I think it is a quality tire that isn't for everybody. You're going to have your naysayers. You're going to have your people that absolutely love Maxxis, and I totally understand. When you got your prep game on lock, when you got your tire game on lock, when that's the tire and you run up front with it, of course you're going to have beef with something coming in and upsetting the apple cart. I'm not a shill for Reaper by any stretch of imagination. I try and remain as neutral as possible because I love all tires. One of my favorite tires is Vega, but they don't have a ton of races up here. That's just a preferred type tire. But I think in general, people ask whether the Reaper tire is worth it or not. Up north, it's a little more difficult to get a hold of. Honestly, it's a harder tire. It was created in the spirit of competing down south, competing with Maxxis. That's where, the big money races are. That's where, a lot of tracks are, that more money can be had down there for the company. And not saying they're in it, for the money, but obviously you don't make a company not to make money. So obviously they're going to turn a profit, and that's good for them. If they can save that amount of money to the racer, if they can provide a quality product, which I think they have, and I think they have given to the racer, I think it's all good in general. But it was tough. I always think of these, elaborate videos where I can just detail oriented, and it's just not my style. It's very tough, but I wanted to do a video like this to kind of follow up. I think I did, Reaper tire, why the shade, and then my first experience with getting the Reaper tire, showing them off. This is what it is, and then all summer long, all these questions come in. What do I think of it? Well, that's just it. I haven't figured out the tire yet. But what I can do is relay the information that I've been given. And it's really pick your poison. Some people want to load them heavy with prep. They say that's what makes them work. Okay, you know, there might be something to it. Some people like to thin them out. Again, there might be something to it. And I think that thing where heat, once you build heat in the tire, I think it grips better. At least that's my experience. I mean, we ran a 30-lap race. I know the, you know, cautions, blah, blah, blah. I think it was lap 37. I turned my fastest lap of the race on lap 37 on my Micron. You know, that was after cautions and blah, blah, blah. But that was after a long green flag run. The more heat that built in the tire, the faster the tire got, the faster the kart got. And I thought, all right, all these things seem to be pointing towards getting heat into the tire. Just my opinion. Then again, I've never run them on dirt fault. I've never run them, you know, the horsepower nationals. I did not go to that. So the South Carolina heat, the hot fast track, I don't know that you know, that correlates with that, but it might be. I guess I'd have to go back and look at Evan's lap times to see if he actually increased speed the longer he ran. But then again, once you have a lead, if it's comfortable, if somebody's giving you the, you know, you're this far ahead type of thing, I don't think you push it that hard. You just run nice, comfortable laps. But, you know, then again, it's you know, it's 20-lap race or 25-lap race, whatever it was. It's a sprint. You know, that's a lot of what we do. You can get comfortable a little bit, but pretty much it's a sprint from start to go. Anyway, guys, I just thought I'd relay that information to you. I know that it's just like you didn't tell me anything. It's a tough sell because I am in a different part of the country. I am hearing different things about what make this tire work and what don't. Somebody also mentioned just real quick here that they like low air pressure. I've run low air pressure in them. Matter of fact, I had them on my open. I was running 3 pounds on the right side, 2 pounds on the left side. Didn't come off the bead. Took the horsepower, grabbed just fine. I've discussed this before. I have handling ailments going on in my open. I don't know what I'm missing. I'm missing something on that chassis on setup that's making me not that fast in the corners. But as far as tire grip, the Reapers did just fine. I was turning, you know, comparable lap times to Vega Yellows on a fairly saturated set of Reapers. So what else can I add in here? Sizing is a bear. I would like to say there's an answer for it, but there's not. I happen to, Chris C. also had mentioned that in a post he made of it. Manufacturers, please stop making your left rear so big. I don't know what it is you have to change about your molds, but please, 32 and a half. 32 and a half. Then if you need to grow it a little bit, cool. It's a lot easier to grow a tire than it is to shrink. But then again, trying to grow a right side Reaper, I have heated the dog snot out of them. I have shocked them. I've done everything I can. I can get it like a crack over 34. But that's a lot of these chassis, a lot of these bull rings are requiring 1.5 front and rear stagger. I'm experiencing that on the clone. I can't disagree, you know, and I put this video out. If Reaper, if you can hear me, Terry, Mr. Maury, if you can hear me, if you could make that left rear smaller, oh, we would kiss you. We'd love you forever. The left rear being 33 is absolutely killing some of these bull ring staggers. We need it to turn. And you know, it's so much nicer when you got a little rear stagger and fighting with shrinking and growing tires. It goes across all brands, but you know, this is a Reaper video, so I'm pleading to the creators of the Reaper, make that left rear smaller. Let's make left rears great again. Make them smaller. All right, guys. I think that's it for today. I know I rambled on a little bit. I knew I was gonna. I did my list. All right. You know I'm goofy. You know I get off track. You know I just ramble. But I thought there was useful information in here. It's just you have so many opposing sides. It's kind of hard for me to say for definite, like, hey, do this to your Reapers. It depends on what part of the country you're at. You might want a thinner tread if you're down south. You might want to go heavy prep up here. But then again, like I said, somebody told me that they have run them almost down to the cords and they have won on them up here. So Pick your poison, go after it, see what you can do. As soon as I figure out what, if I win a race, if I can run up front and I know what happens, I will relay that information to you. Hey, this is what I did to my Reapers to make them fast, and maybe that'll give you, some speed secrets there. Anyway, thank you very much for everybody who came by. I know I knew this was going to be a ramble on video. It is what it is. But I want to say that Kart 63 was brought to you today and every day and every time I make a video by Track Tack Tire Treatments. If you have any questions, concerns, any prep questions, anything about prepping, about the Track Tack line, feel free to shoot those questions my way. I will do my best to get you pointed in the right direction, as I always do with any subject ever. I will never knowingly give you bad information. I will always do my best to try and get you going. So there you go, guys. That was kind of weird outro. Anyway, I will see you in the next video. Later.